With stocks popping off everywhere, let's talk about some stocks that nobody wants to buy, which, as you know, is the precursor for owning the next hot stock before the massive run-up. I'm constantly being asked about the super hot stock that just made a 500% move, or that hot stock over there that's up 80% in a week. What should I do? Should I buy it? And all kinds of stuff like that. Guys, that's called stock chasing. And it's a losing game over the long run. Now, maybe not in the short run, right? Sometimes you can make money. But as a long-term buy and hold investor, it's a losing game statistically. Wall Street's done the stats. Everybody's done the stats, okay? For example, I don't want to buy Palantir at 140, even if it goes to 200 like it did. I want it at $6, under $10 like we bought and bought and bought for 3 years. Or how about a stock like AMD right now? That's all the rage, and everybody's wondering, should I buy it or not? Well, I mean, you had years to buy it under $100, or even Micron, a stock like that, or a lot of other stocks. You want to buy them at those rock bottom pricing, not once they're all the rage up there. Well, guess what, guys? That means you have to be willing to buy when nobody wants those stocks or is talking about those stocks, okay? So let's talk about a few of those type stocks right now that nobody wants to talk about. Let's talk about those stocks right now. Just make sure you like the video if you like getting the truth off the hype, because that is exactly where you're going to get today, guys. And yeah, you're right. These stocks are not getting a lot of talk right now. Nobody wants to hear about them, and they're just in the doghouse per se. But chasing is a losing strategy long run. But in order for us to identify, well, okay, fine, Luke, we don't want to chase. How the heck do we identify the stocks that everybody hates? Well, let's kind of lay down some general criteria needed to buy the next big stock that's going to pop off, that's not popular right now, that nobody wants. Let's kind of define that, and then we'll get into each one of my picks for stocks that kind of fit this criteria, okay? But we got to have the criteria first. So the first one is that it's dead money, right? That's the first thing. Whenever every other comment is it's dead money, it's going nowhere, you're wasting your time, put your money over here, why would you put your money over there? That right there is a sure sign that you got one of those stocks that is in that doghouse, is in that pricing range that you would want it to be in to enjoy a big move later. Now, of course, you need more than just that, but that's one of the first tip-offs is whenever everybody's telling me a stock is dead money, all that tells me is the stock just hasn't moved yet. That's all that it tells me. So it's kind of a sign that I'm in the right direction, right? I heard it for 3 years with Palantir. Why are you putting your money there? Dead stock. Boy, thank goodness I didn't listen and I just continued to buy it, every single week it felt like for 3 years, right? Same exact thing with Google, same exact thing with Meta. You name it, all of, AMD, advanced money destroyer, right? That was the ongoing joke in my group for years in regards to that, because we had a lot of bulls that were really, really into that stock and saw exactly what was going on with that company. But in the meantime, it was quote unquote dead money. Now, we were joking around a lot in my group, but I think a lot of folks right here on YouTube and, in the comment section, and those of you guys out there in real life, I think a lot of folks really felt like it's dead money. Now, all of a sudden, everybody's wondering, should I buy it or not, right? The next criteria, the next thing that kind of always comes up is Wall Street is also negative on the stock, okay? So you need kind of retail thinking it's dead money out there and that narrative playing out across social media and everything else. Next level is Wall Street is also negative to the stock, right? Now they can be negative on the stock itself, okay? It could also be that Wall Street is just negative on the sector, because whenever they get negative on a sector, they tend to trade everything down. It doesn't matter what the stocks are doing or anything else. They trade it down regardless, right? Or it can just be like the macro setup per se, or something like that. You guys know my feelings on microeconomics here, but nonetheless, that's how you pick up cheap shares of, let's say, back in 2022, whenever the Fed jacked up the interest rates, the highest in, basically their history in terms of the quickest rate hike ever. The thought was, well, JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs can't make money because of the macro environment, because of interest rates. Laughable. We scooped those up right around, we're sitting on 3Xs in both those stocks, in boring dividend stocks, because the macro didn't freaking matter. But that was what everybody on Wall Street was saying. Everybody was negative at that stage on Wall Street on bank stocks, and it just made for easy money. Obviously, there was a lot of easy money, but there was a lot of other value plays, boring dividend plays that were riding high because Wall Street was all about them, right? McDonald's, Walmart trading at PEs of 40 and 50 and 80, just stupid, PEs. All the while, banks are sitting there at, the cheapest valuation they've been at forever because of the quote unquote macro, which of course Wall Street was wrong. And so was the macro narrative and all that sort of stuff. So when Wall Street's negative and retail is calling it dead money out there and they're negative on the stock too, that's two components right there you got to have. Now, the third one is the valuation is cheap, which means you got to understand valuation. You have to be able to do a valuation. Just simply because people are calling it dead money and Wall Street's negative on it doesn't mean it's cheap. Even if the stock price is down 60, 70, 80%, doesn't mean the valuation is cheap. Doesn't mean it's something that is on a discount. So you have to be able to do valuation. You have to be able to get in there and actually assess the business and actually see, am I getting a deal or not? Or did it just get so far overpriced, right? That happens all the time in the stock market that it was well deserving of that beatdown. And then, of course, that kind of leads me to the last point is maybe the valuation is cheap and Wall Street's negative and it's called quote unquote dead money because the earnings are absolute trash. This scenario, you need retail being out, Wall Street being out, the valuation being cheap, and then you need earnings moving in the right direction and usually accelerating, right? Getting better every single quarter. That is what you have to have. Obviously, if you're seeing earnings go flat or move in the other direction, I'm not talking about just for a quarter because that can happen for a quarter or two. But we're talking about for an extended period of time, that's a problem. But if you see it moving in the right direction and accelerating, more importantly, man, right there is wherever you have the perfect setup. When those four things all align to have the next, AMD that pops off, the next Palantir that pops off. Now, obviously, everybody wants to know what's the timing on that. Nobody freaking knows that. If somebody knew that, there would be trillionaire investors, but there's no such thing as trillionaire investors, so nobody knows that. So I don't know if these will line up 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, a year and a half from now. Doesn't matter at that stage. Actually, as a long-term buy and hold investor, the longer it stays beaten down, the more money you make on the back end there because you can build out your share count so much larger with cheap shares. So it's actually to your advantage. So trying to guess that, I don't know. I want it to last longer. Bottom line, I want it to last longer and I want the price to get cheaper. That's what I want because then I will make more money than I should have otherwise if it would have stayed the same or gone up earlier. So let's talk about the first stock, and that one would be Meta. All right, let's talk about Meta right here. Let's go straight through them. A lot of folks don't like Meta to begin with. A lot of folks are like, why are you looking at Meta whenever you could be in this chip play or that chip play or, this AI play or whatever the case is? Meta's not going to do anything with the AI play. Zuck's going to screw it away, right? All narratives that are out there right now, Wall Street's out on it because, their CapEx spend, which all mega caps, you were like getting praised for announcing your big CapEx spends. Now it's a problem if you have a big CapEx spend. It's just typical Wall Street gains, but the point being they're out right now. Oh, they got legal issues that they've always have and will always have into the future. So does all mega cap tech. So the point being, you're seeing the exact narratives there play out. Now, in terms of valuation, man, you're not getting 2022 cheap valuation on Meta, but you're getting, one of the cheapest valuations, definitely at the bottom of the valuation, range per se. Definitely not paying a premium at all. You're getting it very cheap. And if it continues to fall, like a lot of folks are predicting it's going to do, it's going to get down into that steal deal territory again. Again, not 2022 steal deal territory, but it's going to get down pretty cheap to where you're getting an easy money stock, kind of like we got with Google last year. You could be looking at the exact same situation with Meta in short order here, and it won't take much to fall down to those levels either. So, and of course, the fundamentals with Meta are always strong. I mean, we had 30-something% growth last quarter. I mean, it's just nuts given the size of the company and everything else. But hey, everybody's out on it. The fundamentals look great. All four pillars line up for me. So that's why Meta's on my list. Now, next up, number 2 is SoFi. This one may be the most divisive one on the list there because, folks either think it's, going to be what we all believe it's going to be later on. Obviously, some folks are a little more bullish than others, but we all believe it's going to be a great company in the future, or else it's just complete trash. And obviously right now, a lot of retail thinks it's complete trash. I mean, every SoFi video post, there's for every positive comment or every couple of positive comments, there's always somebody there, dead money, Noto's diluting you. He's the worst CEO ever. They have bad earnings. I don't know what earnings they're looking at. They must be pulling up the wrong earnings. They must be pulling up AMC's earnings or something, instead of SoFi's earnings and confusing them their charts. I'm not sure. I don't know. It's the only reason I can make for just straight up things being not factual. In regards to SoFi, I had a few folks actually give me a AI prompt too. I was like, well, thanks, but just go pull the filing. You all your numbers on that little AI thing were wrong. So is what it is, guys. The point being, retail, a lot of retail is out on this stock as opposed to a few months ago when it was at 32. Everybody wanted to be in on SoFi. Not you guys right here on this channel. No, you guys were all over it. You're right here with me. But obviously the narrative around SoFi right now is negative. Negative on Wall Street as well. Valuation, hey, it gets cheaper every single quarter, especially while we stay beat down with that. Last year, $32, it was expensive. I said that. It's overvalued. Not wanting to touch it right now. Come back down here to, at least fair value, if not a little bit undervalued territory. Obviously, if you're looking forward on a forward basis, to me, it's undervalued. So obviously, that to me is the perfect setup. And of course, fundamentals continuing to move up and to the right, and more importantly, accelerating. So you're seeing everything line up, hitting all 4 pillars. Definitely a business that I want to own. Stock number 3 is Microsoft. Now, I put this one on this list because for me, it's the easiest example of hitting all 4 of the pillars, right? A lot of folks aren't interested in Microsoft anymore. Everybody's chasing, again, the AI hype trade everywhere else. Now, they were chasing Microsoft when, OpenAI was all the rage, but it's kind of tailed off significantly there. Obviously, Wall Street has quote unquote concerns. It's caught up in the SaaS apocalypse, right? So clearly it's negative right there on Wall Street. From a valuation perspective, one of the cheapest valuations we've seen in a while. Again, not the cheapest ever, but definitely moving in that direction. And of course, in terms of fundamentals, hey, revenue growth is actually accelerating, if you can believe that, for a company as large as Microsoft. Now, to be abundantly clear, it fits all 4 categories, okay? But for me, Microsoft just isn't one that I'm interested in owning. I own too many other stocks that are kind of similar, kind of adjacent. I kind of have exposure to a lot of different things, but that doesn't mean I think it's a bad stock. It's just simply one that doesn't align and helps me meet my goals with my portfolio mix per se, okay? So I'm not saying it's bad stock or anything else of that nature, just one that doesn't necessarily interest me in regards to where I want to put my money at right now. But hey, if you're looking for that next play that could very well make a big move, Microsoft definitely hits the 4 pillars in regards to doing that. Now, of course, I think it needs to fall a little bit further for us to really get a significant upside move on the back end there. But nonetheless, it's still there. It still fits the criteria. And I'll give you guys a bonus here, and that would be SaaS plays. Just kind of like Microsoft, the SaaS apocalypse is here and the narratives are out. And obviously, not all of these companies are going to get devoured by AI. A lot of them are going to pivot. And more importantly, AI is just simply going to make their product better, more sticky, and they're going to have a better business 5 years from now than they have today. A significantly better business. Now, I will agree, AI is going to disrupt some of them. The ones with the poorer management teams, the management teams that cannot pivot, that refuse to pivot, that think they don't need to pivot. That's one I would be really, really scared of in regards to that, because these things happen like that in the software space, and you can absolutely be out. A lot of these different plays have various strengths and weaknesses and such, but you have to assess these management teams because they are all going to have to pivot and change at some point in time. But the SaaS apocalypse is way overblown, way overblown. And so there is a lot of opportunity there because a lot of them fit this criteria. Obviously retail being out on a lot of these plays, Wall Street being obviously so negative on all these plays, valuations being cheap. Now, some of them aren't actually. Some of them are actually trading, just as rich as they were before because their earnings have eroded, right? Which of course means they're not giving you fundamental performance as well. As a matter of fact, some of the hotter stocks that are picking up steam here on YouTube and on social media, it's like, hey, great, I agree, it's a wonderful business. But when I look at earnings, I'm not seeing fundamental performance. I'm seeing the opposite. I'm seeing earnings starting to erode. Now, not grossly, not cratering off a cliff, but I'm not seeing accelerating growth. I'm not seeing, margins getting better. I'm not seeing that bottom line getting better. There's a lot of companies out there that need to make significant changes, but yet, of course, social media land, a lot of those things don't matter. So be very, very careful with that. Assess each one of those differently. But there's definitely some SaaS plays out there that fit right in this bucket. Do that due diligence. Do everything that we discuss right here on this channel. And of course, if you don't know how to do due diligence, you don't understand how to actually do evaluation, how to actually do that fundamental analysis to understand what's going on with the company. And of course, if you want to see my complete watch list with price targets and all the stocks I'm looking to buy, and really all of our super investors in our group and our other, 6, 7, and 8 figure members who also post their buys in the group, I may have left something special for those of you guys that hung around this long. It's the pinned comment down there. If you want to see all my buy and sell alerts in real time, see their buy and sell alerts in real time, get our stock calculator. We got something special coming for folks here in the coming months. We got free coaching. We got free courses. We got the best 6, 7, and 8 figure Discord out there to make you a better investor. That's what we're focused on. Learning how to do those fundamentals, learning how to do due diligence, learning how to do evaluations so you can become a better investor. Check it out. It's the pinned comment. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market. And click here to see my exact plan for this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.